Welcome to the third and final installment of this mini-series on Pathways to New Zealand. We are going to be talking about student visas today, pero bago lang tayo mag-start, gusto ko lang magpasalamat dun sa mga viewers at subscribers natin. Each of you, parang kapamilya talaga namin na natutulungan namin through a major life decision, and we're just really happy na we could be part of that process. If it's your first time to visit our channel or watch one of our videos, there's no need to panic. You can check out our playlist and it has the earlier videos on resident and work visas, so pwede pa mag-catch up. In case you don't want to miss any of our videos, please do subscribe. You'll get a notification every time something new is uploaded. Student visas are a type of temporary entry visa, which means na hindi sila permanent. What you also need to know is walang direct path between a student and the resident visa. Pero, hindi naman ibig sabihin nun na kung nagsimula ka mag-aral sa New Zealand, hindi ka naman pwede maging residente. Marami actually nakagawa ng transition na yun successfully. Usually lang, mag-i-involve siya ng mga work visas in between. Kung ako yung tatanungin nyo, the best reason to study in New Zealand, more than immigration, is really the quality of the education. Isipin nyo guys, lahat ng New Zealand University nasa world's top 3%. Medyo special din ang student visas kasi nakakapag-trigger sila ng eligibility para sa ibang klaseng visa. For example, meron tayo yung post-study work visa. Kailangan nakapag-aral ka sa New Zealand para mag-qualify dito. Although, syempre, meron pang additional requirements yon. Then, you also have yung guardian visa. Yung guardian visa ay ginagamit ng isang magulang o kaya ng legal guardian para samahan yung estudyante sa New Zealand. Ito para sa mga mas batang students up until secondary school. Three core requirements when it comes to studying New Zealand. First is your desire to study. Important talaga yon. Kailangan willing kayo at committed dun sa pag-aaral kasi magkakaproblema kayo if you don't finish the course or if you discontinue in the middle of it if you don't attend your classes. So it's really important na ma-complete niyo yung program niyo successfully. The second thing is the offer of place. This is about admissions. Kailangan tinanggap na kayo ng isang New Zealand education provider. And finally, funds. You need to have enough money to cover both the tuition fees and the cost of living in New Zealand. The cost of living, or what we refer to as the maintenance funds, is set at a minimum of 15,000 New Zealand dollars a year. And in addition to that, you might have some additional costs. Syempre, sasagutin niyo yung flights niyo, medical insurance, and there are a couple of other things. Possibly yung managed isolation, if that is still required by the time na mag-reopen yung borders. If you're the type of person who's interested in career progression, if you feel maybe na medyo nag-plateau na kayo dito sa Philippines or wherever you are, then you really could benefit from studying in New Zealand. In fact, merong Ministry of Education report na inassess nila yung outcome or yung outcomes based on salary dun sa mga nag-aral sa New Zealand. And what they did notice is that may correlation between higher qualifications and better pay as well as salary growth. But if you are a different type of person and what you're looking for is to improve your employability internationally, or maybe you're a younger student and you want to explore your options overseas, then New Zealand's actually a really great place to start. If you have a look at yung international agreements ng New Zealand, there are a couple of different ones. And what this means is like yung mga degrees in New Zealand or even just certificates and diplomas, they're actually recognized in 50 different countries. Then you also have certain agreements like the Washington Accord na there are particular engineering degrees na pag tinapos mo in New Zealand, naka-carry over mo siya sa ibang bansa like the US, the UK. So it's really good in terms of international mobility. You also have something unique to New Zealand and Australia, yung Trans-Tasman what's it called? Mutual recognition agreement. So what that means is if you're in an occupation that requires registration in New Zealand, for example, nagagamit mo rin yun for registration in Australia. So those are some of the benefits. It gives you quite a bit of flexibility to design your career. So kung medyo bata pa kayo, it really opens up a world, literally a world of options to you. Finally, siguro, the third type of person I can imagine really benefiting from this is the type of people who have the funds and the time to invest in studying. So, there are certain people na baka breadwinner kayo, hindi kayo pwede mag-stop ng school. This might not be the ideal, mag-stop para mag-school. This might not be the ideal option for you. We're now at the part of the show where we rate how student visas perform in 3 areas, and that's long-term stability, cost, and speed. Sa long-term stability, yung rating ko dito sa student visas would be between low to moderate. And moderate is just a bit conservative. The only reason why I say that it can be low is there are particular programs of study na talagang hindi nagko-qualify for a post-study work visa. So if you're taking one of those, dapat yung intention nyo talaga, alis kayo na New Zealand afterwards, tapos uuwi na kayo. But then there are programs that qualify for the post-study work visas. The post-study work visas are actually designed to give students an opportunity to gain experience dun sa tinapos nilang study. So it's not so much as to bridge them into residence, although some people do that, no. What typically happens, lalo na for the students who have already taken an undergrad in a different country before moving to New Zealand, is that they use the post-study work visa as a tool to find skilled employment and find themselves earning enough points to be able to qualify for residence under the skilled migrant category. But if we're just looking at post-study work visas, one interesting thing to know is that New Zealand has the most attractive post-study work visas in the world. This was actually in a study na nirank nila dun sa iba't ibang bansa based on how much time you need to study in the country, as well as how long the visas or the post-study work visas are granted for. So, yung New Zealand, na-outclass niya yung Australia, yung Canada, which are some of the more popular destinations, and even the US. So, in terms of being able to get that post-study experience for people who are starting careers or are looking to migrate and they want to kickstart that with studying, New Zealand is actually the optimal place to do it. When it comes to cost, this is not a particularly cheap option, no? Yung Immigration New Zealand na fees, hindi naman siya mataas. Mga 11,000 pesos lang yon. But the reason why things do pile up is because syempre babayaran nyo yung tuition fees ninyo, and then meron pa kayo yung maintenance funds, which are gonna cover yung cost of living sa New Zealand. So, to give you a bit of an idea of how much you would be spending, tuition comes in a range. Depende kasi siya kung ano yung aaralin nyo, anong program type, anong area of study. But the range can be anywhere from about 20,000 New Zealand dollars up unto maybe 45,000 New Zealand dollars a year. Then i-add nyo pa doon yung 15,000 per year dun sa cost of living. So, yung tuition fees binabayaran kasi yan per year or for the length of the program. So, medyo mabigat talaga siya. Maybe the only exception is yung sa PhDs natin. The tuition fees are significantly lower. PhD students don't have international fees. They just don't exist. Kasi si New Zealand nag-encourage talaga siya na mag-PhD yung mga tao doon. So for them, they enjoy domestic fees. Expect that to be around maybe 8,000 or 9,000 in tuition per year. So that's actually pretty good. If you're interested in doing PhDs, you might want to contact us for more information. There are a lot of advantages to taking a PhD in New Zealand. But just to go back to the point of cost, no, that's really what you need to prepare for. Lalo na kung multi-year study siya. The final point of comparison is speed. And we do kind of need to adjust yung expectations natin ng konti because of COVID. So even when immigration starts processing applications, things will probably be a bit different. Medyo may backlog sila, and the reality is they're probably going to prioritize certain types of applications over others. But the last time they were processing student visas from overseas, it was actually a fairly quick process. Most applications, in my experience, would get completed in about a month's time. Some were quicker than that. Pero usually hindi siya inaabot ng 2 months. One of the reasons is because immigration really tries to accommodate yung start dates, no? So when your course is about to start, they know na hindi naman nila pwedeng i-move yung dun sa university. It's not like starting a job na pwede kang mag-defer ng start date. So because yung sa school, it's a bit less flexible, they really do try to meet yung deadlines na yun. So that's a pretty good indication. Student visas aren't always the easiest type of visa to apply for, and it's just the nature of the requirements, no? If you guys remember as I talked about core requirements, I mentioned something about wanting to study in New Zealand and the funds. So when it comes to these two things, there's actually a lot of room for discretion of the immigration officer, and sometimes it doesn't really help you, and that's why yun yung nagiging leading reasons for the decline of applications from Filipinos, at least, no? Overall, student visas can be really good. You just probably need to choose your pathway or design your pathway very carefully para ma-maximize nyo yung benefits sa inyo. Also, there are some risks na you'll need to accept if you go down this path. For example, pwede magbago yung point system, or baka hindi kayo makakuha ng relevant na job agad-agad. So those are possibilities na kailangan aware lang kayo, and you'll work through it. You also need to have some grit, no? Kasi iba talaga yung buhay migrante. If you're prepared for that kind of adventure, then it's gonna be a good experience. You're gonna find na it's a fantastic experience. So kung medyo pinag-iisipan nyo na mag-aral sa New Zealand, there are a couple of different ways that we can help you. Siguro yung pinaka-major doon is just helping you design yung migration plan nyo. So what course do you take? How does it maximize the benefits for you and your family members? And then we also process admissions for certain schools, certain education providers. We do that para hindi na kayo mahassle. We also help with the applications themselves. So for some people, they might have been declined the student visa already. We've had success with those kinds of applications. But in case na gusto nyo lang na medyo mas tight yung application nyo, yung pag-present ng case nyo para wala kayong hassles with immigration, that's also something that we work on. Congratulations on making it to the end of our series. Really happy that you joined us. So grateful. If you guys want to ask us some questions, feel free to leave a comment or send us an email. I also really just want to hear from you guys, find out what you would like us to talk about. Because the series is over, we're probably gonna do short videos answering questions in the next couple of weeks. So if you have any burning questions, no, anything na specific na gusto nyong masagot, we might be able to address that. So please get in touch with us. So subscribe, and until the next video, I'll see you guys.